Flix. Mr. Zeno Cruel was a happy cat. He was well off, he loved his wife Kolza, and they were healthy. He was even happier when she announced, "Darjeeling, I'm expecting." "A visitor?" "Yes, our child." Mr. Cruel, of course, was hoping for a boy. When Mrs. Kolsa Kroll, heavily pregnant, was seized by contractions, her caring husband drove her to the hospital. There he waited impatiently for the results. All went well in the delivery room, but nobody was ready to expect the unexpected. Mr. Cruel was beside himself when they told him, "It's a boy, but..." When he was told that the boy was a dog, he collapsed in a state of confusion. At last he was given permission to visit his wife. He showered her with flowers and kisses. Then they looked at the baby. It had a flat, wrinkled face, drooping chops and bulging eyes. "How can it be? What shall we do?" he said. "Love him. He's ours," replied Mrs. Cruel. Mrs. Kolsa Kroll recovered quickly. After 2 days, she was allowed to leave the hospital. Mr. Cruel fetched her in his catmobile. "What will the neighbours say?" worried Mrs. Cruel. "Facts are facts. They will have to get used to having a dog in their midst." The news created quite a stir. In an interview, Mr. Cruel explained, years ago his grandmother had reputed to have been secretly married to a pug, and now, generations later, here was the results. "It's a genetic mishap, and a very happy one for us," concluded Zeno Cruel. A huge crowd of curiosity seekers gathered on the day of the baptism. The baby pug was named Flix. The Cruels chose Dr. Meadow Klops, a Basset friend from Dog City, to be his godfather. Flix grew up good-humoured, bright and kind. His parents taught him how to speak cat, which he uttered with a dog accent. His mother filed his nails and taught him to climb trees. Flix enjoyed his meals, whether it be fried mice, pickled canaries or hot dogs, and purred when his mother scratched him to sleep. He spent a lot of time with his godfather, Uncle Meadow, who taught him how to speak dog, which he spoke with a slight cattish accent, because in those days dogs spoke dog and cats spoke cat. They could understand each other's language, yet could not speak it. On Wednesdays, they had picnics together by the river. Uncle Meadow gave Flix swimming lessons, and so Flix grew up inventing his own games, for he had no friends to play with. Time came for him to go to school, and Mr. and Mrs. Cruel decided that Flix should go to dog school and stay with Uncle Meadow during the week. After Flix moved into his godfather's house, Uncle Meadow took him on a sightseeing tour. They first strolled down Lassie Avenue, which led to Leica Square. "There, you see this monument?" explained Uncle Meadow. "It was erected in the memory of Leica, the first dog ever to orbit in space." Then they visited other neighbourhoods like the Eastern Quarter, thriving with Pekingese chows, Afghans and Sharples, and all lit at night with paper lanterns. It's just the same in Cat Town," said Flix. "We have the Siamese, the Burmese, the Persians and Tonkinese, and they use the same paper lanterns and wear the same clothes." Flix started Pluto High School. He was one of the smaller dogs in his class, and he soon made himself popular with his quick wit and good disposition. He was top of his class, musically talented. He learned to play the violin, normally a cat's instrument. He joined the local Philharmonic Orchestra. Flix came home to his parents on weekends. One Sunday morning, as they were strolling along the river on the cat side, they heard calls for help. Flix ran in the direction of the commotion. A cat was fishing and had caught a huge pike, but the line had got tangled around his body and he was pulled in, and now he was drowning. Cats don't swim, dogs do, and Flix did. He jumped in and rescued the sinking cat. He dragged him back to shore with the pike as well. Flix had the pike for dinner with his parents. From then on, Flix was accepted and respected in the cat community. Oh, he felt really good. He finished school with honours and went to university. One day, as he was jogging through the campus to clear his mind with exercise, he heard screams for help. A fire had broken out in the girls' dormitory. A student was crying for help from the 5th floor window, which was billowing with smoke. Next to the building stood a dogwood tree. Flix climbed the tree like a cat to reach the branch nearest the window. "Jump, I'll catch you, now, right now," he shouted. She had no choice. She took the leap and Flix caught her just in time and brought her down unhurt. Oh, she recovered her senses and they introduced themselves to each other. Her name was Mizra de la Fourrière, a French exchange student. She and Flix met and met and met again. They became inseparable because they were in love, deeply in love. They took walks in the moonlight, had dinners by candlelight, and in short, were delighted with each other. When Flix introduced his fiancée to his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Kroll took an instant liking to their future daughter-in-law. Thrilled, they decided to celebrate the engagement immediately at the El Dorado, a posh restaurant in Cat Town. They married after Flix and Mizra's graduation, and the wedding was a huge affair. Drawing crowds from both sides of the river, the nuptial march was performed for the first time by a mixed choir of cats and dogs. Faces were flooded with tears on both sides of the aisle. When they returned from their honeymoon, Flix and Mizra moved into a home of their own. Flix started working for his father's mouse and rat trap business. He expanded it by selling traps in dog cities, where he collected the baited proceeds and sold them to the butcher shops in Cat Town. Flix then moved on into politics. His actions and personality had made him very popular on both sides of the river. He created a new party, the CDU, Cats and Dogs United. He campaigned for a joint administration of the two cities, mixed education, shared language, mutual respect, and equal rights. The day he was elected, the first ever Lord Mayor of both towns, his wife Mizra announced she was pregnant. When Mizra, bulging with new life, was seized by contractions, Mayor Flix drove her to the hospital. There he was allowed to remain by her side and hold her paw during the grueling childbirth. He was beside himself with joy when they announced, "It's a girl," and overjoyed when they told him, "It's a kitten." The end.